and district attorneys all throughout the United States of America, we are now seeing what the impact is and the destruction that that is causing to our personal communities and our homes, and specifically our children who are the innocent. We have, and I can't tell you the state or where we're going to be going because it would jeopardize our operations and also our security, because what we're getting ready to do is going to be very dangerous. But we need your help, and we're going to discuss that here today, and also how you can keep a lookout and also protect your children from this evil. Human traffickers have infiltrated our communities. Human traffickers have infiltrated, and drug traffickers have infiltrated our schoolyard. And what I mean by that is they have a very sophisticated network where now they have recruited not only your children, some of your children, and you wouldn't know about it, you know, and we're going to talk to you about some of the signs that you need to look for if your child has been compromised and has been recruited by one of these gangs, MS-13, different cartel, and different transnational criminal organizations. We currently have a community that can't even walk the streets to take their child to school without having prostitution right in front of their face, half-naked young girls who are underage being forced by their pimps to commit incredible acts that are just vile. Drugs being sold to your children on the playgrounds. MS-13 has a stronghold in this particular community, and they are forcing this on young children. MS-13 is an arm of the cartel, and it depends on division, but Sinaloa is one of those cartels that have a huge stronghold with the MS-13 gang members. We need to rescue and save our children. I'm going to read a couple things. I made some notes because I didn't want to miss anything with telling you what's going on in our country and in our communities. And if you think this is just happening, by the way, in Democratic-run states, you're mistaken. Right here in the state of Florida, in Venice, just this past weekend, a 17-year-old high school student was arrested. They were recruited by one of these criminal organizations, the cartel, to traffic other young victims in her high school. So she recruited her friends and then charged $50 to $100 for different types of sex acts. That's just one of many stories that you're going to hear here tonight. Women Fighting for America is tired and fed up of seeing this, seeing our children being trafficked for sex, oral sex, violently beaten, bruised, kidnapped, organ harvesting, drug trafficking. In Texas, just this past weekend, a group of teenagers outside of Carrollton, and I'm going to bring Kristen in just a second to talk about this. They would go after school to a stash house. That's what we call them, stash houses. Again, controlled by the cartel that have been set up. And some of them died from fentanyl overdoses. And some of them, I believe, are either still hospitalized or recovering. This is another story that's not unique anymore in America. It is now becoming the norm because we have open border policies where we have influx of 160 plus nations, cartels, terrorists, drug traffickers, human traffickers, organ traffickers, weapons traffickers allowed to infiltrate our nation and our country. Kristen, I would love for you to talk about what's going on there in Texas, what you're hearing, what you're seeing from both the fentanyl, drug overdosing, and the trafficking side.
Thank you, Christie, for having me. I'm watching the comments come in, and so many of them are saying, God's not happy about what's going on. God, Mama, I see all these states coming in. We're here. We're supporting you. It's so incredible, the work that you're doing. We appreciate you sharing what's happening for us. From a perspective of Texas, I can tell you this is not the Texas that I lived in just a few years ago. I see constant stories. We can't even go down in my very safe, previously safe neighborhood. You can't even go to dinner without, you have to lock your car. You have to take every belonging out of your car. There are there are shootings. People are hiding with their children in restaurants right around in nice neighborhoods. Again, you told this story about what happened just in Carrollton, right here in the Dallas area, right around the corner from the high school. There are 6 children that were injured. 3 of them passed away from a drug house that are laced with fentanyl. You know, I've just recently seen so much of what's happening. I've started researching more and more and seeing what's happening around us. And it's no longer their children. It's no longer somebody else. It's right here. It's happening in our own environment. It's awful.
You're right, Kristen. And this is not just a story in Dallas, Texas. I promise you, I would love to hear some comments right now. I'm sure in your own communities, every person who's listening right now to this message, I promise you, you have been impacted in your community somewhere. You've heard this story time and time again. And for me, when I got my intel this morning, immediately I called the head of my security operations team. And we are putting together a very strategic plan and an operation to go in. And we are going to not only go in and clean out, but we are also going to film, capture this on footage, and get people arrested and follow the money trail, right? Because, you know, the people on the street, the pimps, those individuals that you see sulking in the corner, the drug dealers, the mules, the coyotes, whatever we want to call them, right? The low-level MS-13 gang members, the commanders, they are not really who we personally want to target. We're going to get them off the street, but we want the bigger guys. Because when you take out the head of the snake, Kristen, everything else falls apart. The body dies. So Women Fighting for America is going to have an action for every single person listening. I get asked all the time, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And the bottom line is this. If you want to get these animals off the street and you want to secure your communities, your neighborhoods, and your schoolyards, and so they can't recruit your children and your grandchildren, it takes people like us who are willing to go in the field to risk our own personal lives to do the things that we do. We can't from a security perspective get into where we're going, what state we're going, what city we're going in, how we're going to do it. I get asked that all the time. And I'm quite frankly really sorry, but it puts people's lives in jeopardy. It literally, they may not come home if I tell you what we're going to do. But I promise you, it's this particular operation that we're getting ready to do. We have a very specific figure of what it's going to cost for us to go and do what we have to do. And we are going to challenge everybody right now on this social media platform that we're pushing out tonight. If you really want to help get drugs off the street, if you really want to help stop the fentanyl deaths, if you really want to help stopping child trafficking and your children being recruited, you can fund the fight. You can fund this particular operation. We have a very specific donation button on our website tonight, that Venmo. You can take your phones out right now and you can, that QR code on the left-hand bottom of the screen. We need to raise $46,000 this evening. And we are actually deploying very soon. And we are going to take care of business because we have government and lawmakers who no longer protect your children anymore. As a matter of fact, this is what really disgusted me, I think, more than anything, is the fact that we have governors and politicians actively changing laws that are enabling the child and human traffickers. They're allowing them to grow their organizations through these new policies and laws. And they tie it up, Kristen, with this pretty little bow saying that it's to help stop the victims from being more victimized. That could not be further from the truth.
It's Christie. What I've started researching and realizing is so many of these organizations that I used to think were good places to send my money, like the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, they are Hunter Biden is their poster child. They literally have pictures with Hunter Biden receiving awards. Polaris is a new one that seemed seemingly perfect at first blush, data-driven human trafficking. They just attended the World Economic Forum. Like, there are so many things that appear to be good that are not. So I really encourage everyone to do the research. And when I look at what Christie's doing, I'm one of these people that's asking her, what are you doing? What's different? What are you actually doing? I'm pushing her to understand what's different. And so much of what she's doing is risking her life, is actually being on the border, is so confidential on purpose. So I've seen her, I've followed what she's doing. She's driven by God, and she's got an incredible team around her. And the more funding she receives, both for this, I believe it's actually going to stomp this out, cutting the head off the snake. And there are so many things that she has planned that could make a big difference for all of us. So many resources if she's well funded.
You know, again, I do not take a salary. You can pull my tax. I don't know if they're public or not, but I'm more than welcome. I don't make a salary. I don't take a salary. I haven't had a salary in 3 years. I don't pull any money personally from anything that Women Fighting for America does, because I firmly believe with all my heart, I'm a mom. I'm a mom. And if this were my child and I stood by and I did nothing when I could have done something, I have to live with myself. And when you're out in the field like I have, because I was called to do this from a higher power, and that's my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, I cannot turn a blind eye to this. And as you know, Kristen, this is not political for me. I don't care where, and this really is not a political issue, by the way. Human trafficking, drug trafficking is not a political issue, even though it has been politicized. It is a shame that it has. But the individuals like George Soros and the World Economic Forum and big corporations and certain politicians, they've politicized this because they're involved in it.
That's right.
And if you think for 1 minute that politics, open borders, do not equate to human trafficking, even national security, all ties together with the human trafficking, child trafficking, organ trafficking, and drug trafficking. And because why? It comes back to one simple thing: money. That we're talking billions and billions and billions of dollars are being made every single day. And the policies that have been implemented over the course of the last several decades. And by the way, the Republicans are not immune to this, but the Democratic Party is the stronghold of this. But the Republicans, there's a lot of them who have infiltrated the Republican Party under the disguise of being a Republican and conservative who are not. You have to start listening and seeing and hearing what they're actually doing and what policies they're voting for and not voting for, to understand who they are in their heart. And then when you start looking at those policies that they're voting for, that's when you need to say, okay, this person is not a good person. I don't care if they have an RD or an I behind their name. We got to get them out of office, right? So for me, this isn't political, even though it is political. And we have got to stop this. Not one more child should have to die, Kristen. Not one more.
Tell them how fast you think the border could actually be closed if we wanted it to be closed.
48 hours. 48 hours, our border could be completely secure and shut down and closed. And this isn't just me saying this. I am I'm friends with very, very powerful generals, some retired generals who are writing plans right now. General Valley is one of those. He's an incredible patriot, an incredible man of God. And we are currently in the background writing policies and papers and doing everything we can, setting up behind the scenes operations, organizations, SCIFs. There's a lot of stuff that's going on to combat and try to fight this, but we cannot do it alone. It is time for the American people and those around the world, because this isn't, by the way, just an American issue. This is a worldwide disease. And we need everybody to get involved to save our children and the future of the world, quite frankly. And so there is a nationwide push right now, and you've seen it through the LGBT community, the cancel culture, the woke culture, the trying to put the type of sex education that they're putting in our schools, teaching children how to masturbate, how to, do unspeakable acts. This is a push to liberalize prostitution and normalize pedophilia and normalize child trafficking and human sex trafficking.
Christy, one of the things that I also seen recently, I knew about fentanyl. I'd seen the pictures of the fentanyl that looks like Skittles or looks like some sort of Easter candy. But I've recently started seeing how they're direct, almost 100% identical duplicates for Adderall, Xanax. There are so many things that that you could see some child that is struggling. All of a sudden they've been introduced to these horrible concepts, or they just, could see somehow someone could so innocently think that they were just getting an Adderall or getting a Xanax that are so popularized on all of our current music. And accidentally, this tiny, tiny amount of fentanyl can kill them in a heartbeat. And they're setting all of this up, all of these things all right around our schools, which is part of why this is called Operation Schoolyard. It's all right here in our own backyard. And it's so easy. Every human can be easily brought to make a mistake. These are our children. You're no longer small stakes. These are huge life and death stakes that are showing up in America's schoolyards.
The reason why we're calling it Operation Schoolyard as well is because this is a targeted, very specific target, your children. And make no mistake, people ask me, well, why in the world would they want to lace this stuff with fentanyl that's going to kill their end user, right? Their buyer. This is how they get more and more money by selling drugs. There's a real simple answer to this. So if you understand how fentanyl or carfentanil and these drugs are made, they're actually, there's laws, by the way, to prevent this type of distribution of the materials that it takes to make the fentanyl and carfentanil. And these ingredients typically come from the Chinese Communist Party and also Asian countries. So the Chinese Communist Party we lost Kristen. Hopefully we can get her back on. The Chinese Communist Party ships over to the different cartel organizations the synthetics to make the fentanyl. There's no really specific laboratory like we have that's regulated, right, from the medical perspective. So the cartels, they're just mixing this stuff, and they're mixing it into all sorts of different, whether it's cocaine, marijuana, the pills, whatever you name it, because this is a very cheap product to make. So the more filler they have, the more money they actually make, and they don't care if they kill your kid. They just don't. They don't care if they kill your children, and they never know how much dose is in there. So it could be a dose that's lethal enough. One time your child smokes a joint. One time your child takes a pill that he thought was Adderall, or even sometimes a vitamin, and that child's dead. And believe me, there's enough angel moms out there and parents who have experienced exactly what I'm talking about. Their child's a good child. They're from all different walks of life. This does not have a filter, a lens. Drug and child trafficking doesn't have, it's not biased. It's not racist. There's no color. It doesn't see the color of your skin. It doesn't see your economic status. It affects everybody. So Operation Schoolyard is to prevent these criminals, these animals, from being able to target your children where they go to school, where they spend most of their time. That is walking to and from school, getting on the school buses, after school activities, playground activities. And we need to stop this. So Women Fighting for America has a major plan to stop this and identify these players before they can get to your children and take them off the streets. But again, we cannot do this alone. We need your help. We need you to engage. We need we do need money. This operation is going to take money. We have to pay the individuals who have very, very special skill sets. Most of these guys, we do a lot of volunteer hours, but at the end of the day, they've got to pay their mortgage. And quite frankly, they may not go home, Kristen, at night to their wives or their husbands. I'm going to be honest with you, or their children. They may come back in a body bag, because we are dealing with very hardened criminals. They will cut your head off and make an example of you like that. They don't care. So we have to pay them. They deserve to be paid for what they're doing to protect you, your community, and your children, to make sure they grow up and that they see the light of day of 21, right? And so we need the funding. I'm also asked Kristen, what else can we do besides fund this? We need prayer teams.
Yeah.
What we do in the field is very dangerous. And we need the covering of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. We need the covering of massive angels to protect us and come around our team every day. Kristen, as you know, I have active death threats against my personal life. I have to travel with security all the time. That's not free. And by the way, I pay for that myself because I love my country. And I don't want children to be buried and not grow up, or to be hooked on drugs, or to be pulled into and kidnapped and pulled into the sex trade industry, the labor industry, being sold, putting in container ships and shipped off to foreign nations to be shackled to beds until they're raped and used up to where they're dead and dying. That's what happens, folks. I can get really graphic, but that's what's going on. When you see these missing children, they're not just missing because they ran away. They're missing because they were kidnapped. And God only knows what horrific acts are being perpetrated on them.
The things that Christie has seen, I don't even know. I only know a small percentage of it, but her tears. I mean, I bet there's not a dry eye on the screen. We're all watching you. I can't imagine. The first video I saw that you produced was the rape trees, with the bras and the panties still on the trees where they're tied up. I mean, I'll never be the same after just seeing your video of that, much less all the things that you have seen at the border. You tell a story. I saw some pictures that you had of children, and I was like, Christie, what's happening with these children? They're not deceased, are they? And you said no, they were drugged. And you said that there were 100 children that you saw at the border one time, all drugged.
And you know what's really sad, Kristen, is the fact that we have an administration through his policies who literally are chokeholding and tying the hands of our good law enforcement officers and Border Patrol agents. There are so many of them that are good. It is not an accident that we are seeing a massive uptick in Border Patrol agents and law enforcement who are working down at the border who are taking their own lives via suicide. That is not a mistake. It's because what they're seeing and what they're having to do because of the orders of this administration, quite frankly, it's filthy, disgusting, that they're taking their own lives because of what they're witnessing. And it is hard. It's hard for me to go down there with my team, my guys. We do it though because it has to be done, because we don't have anybody else who's really doing the hard work that it needs, that I know of. I can only speak for the realm that I play in and where I see. And I don't want this to now roll over. And now it's in our schools. It's in your backyard. It's in your community. Venice, Florida, trafficking. They recruited high school students to recruit other high school students to partake in sex trafficking for $50 to $100 a sex act. They're using social media, TikTok. If your child right now, if you've allowed your child or your teenager to have TikTok on any of their devices, you need to, parents, right now, go into their room, grab their phone, be a parent. They don't need you to be their friend. They need you to be their parent. And you need to remove that horrible Chinese Communist Party controlled off of their device now. You also need to start looking at their social media, because that is where your child is being targeted and recruited. And if you think that your daughter or your son, there's no way they're involved in that, you are sadly mistaken,
There's a
because
way.
they're enticing you, your child, with money, with free drugs, and other things.
There was just back to what's happening here in Dallas. Just a few months ago, there was a young 15-year-old girl was at a Mavericks game with her father, went to the ladies' room, and then never came back. It took a group like Christie, a private secret group that they accessed. The Dallas police wouldn't even file a police report. They were toggled back and forth between their suburb and Dallas. There was the stealth fighter team that was underground that found her in a hotel room in Oklahoma City, right out from under. This is a young girl that was just like any of our daughters, right here, right there.
Innocent, watching a football game with her father. So I want you to think about that. She's with her own dad at a football game where you think there's lots of security. You have to go through with wands. You have to go through and enter. But she was able to be lured away and kidnapped. They found
Cameras
her in a
all
hotel
along
room.
took her right out of there.
Exactly. And there's groups like myself. By the way, we have to be funded, because these guys, again, we're risking our lives to save your children. Because
Christie,
we have a government and agencies who won't. Because exactly like you said, Kristen, the Dallas Police Department didn't move. And certainly they're not going to move fast enough, by the way.
Right.
Because if you don't, you pretty much have a 24 to 72 hour window. And after that, typically, unfortunately, it is very difficult after that to trace and find the missing individual.
You talked about policies in that reply. I'd like for you to talk about what happened with Biden, what his whole 4 lines that he talked about these issues the other night. You have some insight into what his new policies are and what blind eye that's going to turn even further. You want to talk about that?
Well, yeah, what he's basically done through the new orders that he put down at the border. Again, it's even a bigger stronghold. They're not allowed to chase these in. They literally could get a phone call. So let's just say they've identified a human smuggler, child trafficker, a terrorist, a murderer, rapist, anything, right? A suspect. And they're chasing them. They've identified them. They're going after them currently to apprehend them. They can get a call from their supervisor and told to pull over on the side of the road, shut their engine down, and they can no longer follow that criminal, which means that they will get away with whatever they're doing, right? That's just one of the many policies that this administration is enforcing. Same thing with the asylum seekers. 90% of everybody who's coming over here, who's claiming asylum, does not qualify. You don't qualify because of economic status of a country. You qualify for asylum because your life or your family's life is at risk of death, right? Very imminent threats against you. So most of these individuals don't do this, but the policies now that he has is you can now, and by the way, the numbers won't look like they are because they found a way around this. Mm-hmm. So they can now come over, go straight to the Border Patrol stations at the port of entries, give them their information, and then they're given a card. They're allowed into our country, and then they can just disappear. And 90% don't even show up at their court dates. So
why would they? Right? I mean, there's no incentive.
Exactly. Right. But Operation Schoolyard. We have current intel right now where we have MS-13, we have cartels and some transnational criminal organizations working in 2 communities currently right now. It is an imminent threat to the children who are going to school, walking to school. They are actually following these children, even in front of a Catholic private school in this particular community. Women Fighting for America wants to take a team in and stop this from happening. We need your support. Will you support Operation Schoolyard and help protect and save lives? 100% of your money and your donations tonight, you literally can hit that QR code on the left-hand side or go to our website, Women Fighting for America at WFFA.WIN, and you'll see the donation button for Operation Schoolyard. It is not tax deductible, but I promise you, you will be in the fight and you will be partnering to save lives tonight. Kristen, I'd like to open it up to some questions. So Julie, are there questions that anybody wants to ask? We will answer them right now. Suggestions, thoughts, and then we're going to end with some actionable items that you can do besides donating.
I see so many people while Julie's coming online. I see so many people asking, so many incredible people commenting, and people are saying, I'll donate tomorrow after I get my paycheck. I mean, gosh, what incredible people are coming to us. We just love that so much. I think, so there are so many ways you can donate. A lot of people are saying, well, I don't want to do Venmo, and we understand. We're also seeing you say, we don't like PayPal, and we understand. We have also added, there's the ability to do Stripe, and where that's on WFFA.WIN. You can find all of those ways. There's a way you can send a good old-fashioned check. That still works too. If none of those ways work, you can always message. Christie personally answers many of these messages. Please let us know. There are so many different ways that you can donate. And we understand that some of these are not great in terms of PayPal and Venmo. We're trying to find the better ones, but this is what we're dealing with in the meantime.
Yeah, unfortunately, like even Give, Send, Go, I don't do that because they shut down. They just shut down a rancher who had to protect and defend his property at the border, and he shot a illegal who is illegally in this country, who illegally evaded, who is a gotaway criminal, and he shot him because he was threatened on his own personal land and property, a legal American citizen, and he is now trying to raise money for his legal defense, and Give, Send, Go has completely shut him down.
Wow.
So we are up against, I'm very fortunate right now. And I know PayPal and Venmo, but they haven't shut us down by the praise and the covering of God. Thank you so much. So I do get it. But sometimes we have to use tools that the enemy deems, in their camp, right? So we can further the light, what God has called each and every one of us to do. And same thing with Facebook. We have 75,000 plus followers on Facebook. Zuckerberg is not exactly a upstanding citizen by no means, but God also asks us to use sometimes the tools of the enemy to reach those, first and foremost, who are in the dark, right? So if we can share this message and it changes somebody's heart because we were on that platform or utilizing a certain tool, as long as you understand where your heart lies, right? You're a daughter and son of the light, and stay true to that. Again, and if anybody has any other suggestions out there with,
I see a couple of them. I'm grateful. Yes. Yeah, I see some. I'm taking notes of those. That's great.
Perfect. Does anybody have any questions out there, Kristen?
Let's see if I've got any questions in here. So many people agreeing with you and being outraged and enlightened. So many people don't, we don't get all of this news on our mainstream media anymore. So many people are appreciative. As hard as the truth is, they're very appreciative of it.
Well, Kristen, that's fantastic because, I wasn't going to announce this, but we'll announce this tonight. We realize that, unfortunately, news isn't the way it should be, right? News reporters, and they don't do their job. They don't do their due diligence anymore. It's all propaganda. It's all opinions. And so Women Fighting for America is launching a podcast, and it's going to be called On the Front Lines with Christie Hutcherson. And I'm going to have a co-host every other week, Ann Vandersteel, formerly of The Steel Truth. She's an incredible patriot as well. So you'll see two powerhouse women. We'll have amazing guest speakers, and it's going to be very educational. We're going to bring in everything from lawyers to really the good politicians that we've personally vetted and filtered out. So you will get a lot of great information. We're going to have military personnel on. You're going to learn how to protect your family, defend your family. We've created bug out bags. If you don't know what a bug out bag, it's basically a quick bag that you grab in emergency situations that we've created with our team, because we've looked out there. We don't like what's in a lot of these bags. A lot of it's nonsense that you don't need. So we're going to tell you, what you need, how to prepare for what's coming, how to keep your family safe. You're going to hear everything, like I said, from lawyers to judges to politicians to everyday moms and dads. And then also, we're going to have a section on Women Fighting for America, where it's basically the voice of the citizens, where you guys are going to be our eyes and ears. Upload your videos, be able to give us the information and intel, because you're part of a team, you're part of a family, and that's what Women Fighting for America is all about.
Christie, I see one question that people would like your estimate of how many people have actually crossed the border during the Biden administration.
Absolutely. I've spoke on this for the last 2 years, and relooking at the numbers. In reality, it's not like last year alone. I think I was looking at CBP's numbers. They estimated somewhere around 2.8 to 3 million have crossed over the borders. I'm here to tell everybody right now that that's not true. If you look at the last 2+ years since this administration took office, we're guesstimating somewhere in the 8 to 10 million, because you have to look at not just the southern border, and you also have to look at the northern border. You have to look at the East Coast and the West Coast, right? You have vast bodies of water that are utilized, and boats, shipping containers. I mean, I can get into this, but there's a lot of very creative ways people come into our nation and our country. There's also the camera systems, private camera systems that are set up all throughout the northern and southern borders. And when you start looking at a lot of this camera footage, data, et cetera, and you look at the numbers of the gotaways, and you start calculating those, Kristen, we're up there.
I was surprised to see how many on the terrorist list came across the northern border. You've been talking about how many people have been coming in, and how much of this is not actually Mexico. It's not as Southern America as you would think, and how many people are actually coming across all across, and how many people are actually terrorists from terrorist countries.
So on the northern border, what they've actually apprehended on the northern border, right? Canada and America, 313 known terrorists. 313 known terrorists. On the southern border, it's around the 98, but I'm going to be honest with you. I think that number has been greatly suppressed. This administration certainly cannot, neither can Mayorkas, afford to really put out those true numbers. Again, I have an incredible network of individuals that we talk to daily, from U.S. Marshals, undercover agents, DHS, IHS agents, you name it. And we talk to them on a regular basis. They call me up and they give me a lot of information. And the reason why they do that, because I know I get asked this question a lot, is because they know they've seen me actually in action. They've met me and seen me at the border. They've met me, seen me in the field. They've met me and seen me doing the hard work. And so I'm not typically always behind a screen talking on a camera. I'm in the field doing a whole lot of stuff. And so there are a lot of times that you guys don't get to see. And so they know that I'm an actual person who actually does what she says she's going to do.
They do. If anyone questions that or wants to see more, you should go to the website and look at the tab under endorsements. The endorsements that Chrissy has received just in the last week and a half are incredible. And these, General Flynn, Commissioner Sid Miller, Patrick Brin, there are so many incredible people that are just saying, and they generally are saying, she's the bravest woman I know. I mean, they're the hardest working woman in the freedom movement. I mean, they're so impressed with her by standing alongside with her, working with her day in and day out.
Well, Kristen, I those are incredible. Everyone has their mixed feelings about General Flynn and all of these people in the Patriot movement. But the bottom line is that General Flynn was the national security advisor to the President of the United States, and he's an incredible individual. And to have just the endorsement, I read what he said about me, and it almost brought me to tears just for the fact that America would be a much less safer place without Christie Hutcherson in it. And that really moved me. But really, in reality, America would be a much less safer place without my team, to be honest with you. I can't do what I do. I know I'm the face and everybody sees me out there because I've been called by God, but it's individuals like yourself and my team who work tirelessly for free behind the scenes, and in the operation ground support guys that go in the field to risk their own lives with me. By the way, I'm always with them. I'm embedded with them. I wouldn't ask them to risk their lives without myself risking my own life. I don't think that would be fair. And so I don't really deserve the accolades. I'm going to be honest with you, Kristen. I think all my team actually deserves the accolades.
There. So I just think that there are so many people, if you can share this, we were going to make this available on so many different platforms, so you can click a button and share it. I understand that there are challenges of anonymity that are out there. We can help. If you know people that you would like to share this with, we can help. If you know others that you think could help donate, every dollar makes a difference. I mean, Christie called me today and said, wow, I've just gotten this intel, and she was ready to go, wanted to go live immediately. She's like, we've got to raise this money. I've got to take my team. I'm trying to find the best team at the lowest price that I can possibly find. This is happening to our children today, right now. The laws are changing. They're making it's more imminent. We have to go protect our children. So anything, every idea you all have, we are wide open for it. Every dollar, every sharing with other people that you know have generous hearts and care about the future and our children. There's nothing more precious to protect than our children.
You know what, Kristen, if you know somebody who owns a firearm company, an ammunition company, we need equipment. If you want to donate, we do have a way where you can get that tax write-off. By the way, we do have a way. If you want to donate equipment and items to Women Fighting for America, we absolutely 100% can get you that tax write-off. Sorry, I need help from my team. Look at this. See, this is real life. My laptop's gonna die, and I need my computer plugged in. Like, oh my God. So, but if you know somebody who, ammunition, bulletproof vests. I mean, I'm wearing, unfortunately, because I don't have, again, big money. My money goes to the fight and saving children. So I don't have that lightweight, new latest protective vest that will keep me and my team safe. I'm wearing literally like 12, 13 pounds of stuff when I'm out in the field, Kristen. And it takes a pretty toll. I'm not a spring chicken. It's a toll on my body and my team's body. So if you guys know anybody out there who's willing to come along and sponsor, we can either give you lots of accolades and recommend your organization, or if you want to stay silent and clandestine, right, we can do that too. But everybody needs to get in the fight. And believe me, I know times are tough. This administration has made it very financially hard for a lot of people. And $5, I promise you, $5 helps. Because you know what? If I have 75,000 followers on Facebook, and each one of you guys also can share this with your social media. If everybody donated who literally listened to this, if everybody actually got their phones out and did the QR code or sent a $5 check, times that by $75,000, that would be such a huge impact for our organization, and how many children we would be able to save, how many rescues we could take, how many criminals we could literally take down. And I promise you, they will be taken down. Okay. And we will make sure that they are held accountable. And that's what we do. That is my commitment to my country and to you. So I'm going to end this, and just if there's no more questions, what I'm going to give you guys is some actionable items. Prayer. Me and my team need prayer. We want to deploy. We are currently right now planning this operation. We don't just, fly by the seat of our pants. These things we have to plan, right? Like we have to have a strategy and a plan in place. So we are planning this mission. We want to be wheels up in the next 72 hours, because every second is going to count to save some lives. So we want to be wheels up in 72 hours. If you could please donate $5, $10, $20, if you can afford more, $1,000. I promise you, it'll go towards this mission. You will get film and footage. We are bringing an embedded film crew with us, and we will be able to show you where your money actually went. So you will see your love in full display of what you've done and who you've saved. Other thing, pray over me and my team. Also, this is going on all over the country in your child's school. I don't care if your child's in preschool, elementary school, junior high, or high school, or even college. If you see something odd, if you feel something that doesn't look right, or an individual doesn't look right. And by the way, they could also be somebody who works in the school.
Yes.
And we're going to have training on this. We're going to be rolling out training. I've partnered with somebody else who does incredible training on this. Used to be in law enforcement. This is what they did. And that's coming. It's part of what we want to do, is start training everyday American citizens to know what to look for. If you see something or just feel something's not right in your gut, I want you to contact us. And I want you to write this down. It's contact WFFA@protonmail.com. That's contact WFFA@protonmail.com. And I want you to send us the information. And if you can take photos, videos, that's even better. So those are some things right now that you can do. And we will be deploying our operational team, Operation Schoolyard, hopefully next week by the grace of God, if we can get this funded. All we need to do, we need $46,728 to be exact to fund this mission. So thank you so much. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you sharing. I appreciate you partnering with Women Fighting for America and getting into the fight. Together, we can save America's future and our children. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.